Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Dais, a podcast about the stories taking place in and around El Paso County, Colorado. I'm your host, Scott Anderson, and today I am joined by Jaime Garcia, the Chief Development Officer for Silver Key. How are you doing today, Jaime?
I am great, thank you.
Great. Thank you for having me over here today. I really appreciate it. But before we get started, I want to add that if listeners are interested in more stories about people doing good in and around El Paso County, or hearing from county leadership about local government priorities and how they operate, you can find additional episodes of this podcast on your podcast platform of choice. But to get started, Jaime, it would be great if you could share a bit of background about yourself and how you came to be associated with Silver Key.
All right, happy to do so. So I grew up in this community. I was born and raised in Black Forest, Colorado. And in fact, in high school, I was a driver for Meals on Wheels for Silver Key.
Nice.
So fast forward many, many years, and I have spent my career in nonprofit and higher education fundraising, and have also provided fundraising, advising, and fundraising philanthropy consulting services in this community. And I was working with a client a couple of years ago, the Tri-Lake Silver Alliance in Monument. And they brought me on to help them with a capital campaign project to bring a senior center or expand their senior center in Monument. And while working with them, they expressed an interest in getting to know Silver Key a little bit better. So I reached out to Silver Key to make the connection, and one thing sort of led to another. And that Tri-Lake Silver Alliance ended up being acquired by Silver Key.
Oh, okay.
To everyone's approval. That's sort of what everybody wanted to happen at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And the idea was that what Monument seniors were desiring, they felt like they could achieve faster, quicker, better if they were associated with Silver Key. And so, we kind of joked for a little bit that I might have just worked myself out of a job because, I was a consultant for them and we had this project, but it seemed like the right thing. Mm-hmm. It's what everybody wanted, so It was okay.
Yeah.
I had other things to do. But Silver Key was really fantastic, and they said, well, what do you mean? You're part of this deal. So they asked me to come on and continue my work just in a little different space.
Awesome. So how did that transition work out for you?
It was fine. I mean, I went from having a handful of clients in different spaces to needing to make a decision about taking on something more full-time for mm-hmm. Silver Key. But it's really nice to get to continue on with that initial project that I started with.
Yeah, that is really cool. So let's talk about Silver Key for a bit. What is the main mission of the organization? What do they do here in El Paso County?
So basically, it's to serve the needs of the seniors in our community and just make sure that they are healthy and that they have the best quality of life possible, and they're safe and they can feel dignity and independence. And so we were founded in 1970 by, a local group of concerned citizens who just wanted to make sure that the quality of life was what it should be for older adults. And, since, we've been here longer than 50 years, more than 50 years, our services have sort of grown as the needs have changed for our seniors. Today, we offer, everything from Meals on Wheels to transportation to some case management, pretty much anything that we can do that would help a senior with their quality of life. We offer those services.
And so, having been around for 50 years, I'm sure many people are aware of Silver Key and are able to take advantage of those services. Approximately how many people do you serve in the area? And do you serve just kind of this southeast part of Colorado Springs? Do you serve the whole county, or does it go beyond that?
So we serve El Paso County and parts of Teller County. And, we go all the way up to Monument, as I described, with our senior center up there. And we even do some meal deliveries out to Peyton and Calhoun.
So as an organization that's been around as long as it has, can you talk about how important it is then for people to view Silver Key, that is, as an organization that they can turn to in their time of need?
Well, one area that we really pride ourselves on is that seniors that have worked with us over the years, the common theme that comes up that we appreciate so much is that they trust us. And so we want to be that entity that seniors think of when they don't know who to turn to, when they don't know who to trust. They're worried that they could be getting scammed. They are having a toothache and they don't know what dentist to go to. I mean, you name it, whatever that crisis moment that they're having and they don't know who to turn to, they can call us. Now, sometimes when those calls come in, and it does sound like they might be in crisis, one of the first things that we'll say is, do you need to call 911? We want to make sure that they know that that's what you should do if you are truly having a life emergency. But we do think that seniors are realizing that they don't need to call 911, and we're glad that we're their second choice and that we can help get them connected to whatever it is that they need to get them in a place where they're better.
So I know you haven't been at the organization for too long quite yet at this point, but what does it mean to you to know that you are that first phone call? Only one person can be that first phone call. Like, what does it mean to you to know that that really is in the mindset of the community, that Silver Key is that first phone call that's made?
It's very powerful to be that first phone call. And I think it just reinforces that we're doing the good work. And it makes those of us that work around here feel like we come to work every day and we make a difference and it makes an impact. And, you know, it's reassurance, I think, for our seniors to know that they can make that phone call. But it extends beyond that, and that families know that their mom, their dad, their grandparent has this connection and can also get support when sometimes maybe they can't. And where we know examples of that are families that maybe live out of state, and they feel better knowing that they're getting, their mom or dad is getting a call of reassurance from us. That's one of the many programs that we offer here is we have calls of reassurance where a senior or their family can sign up for someone from Silver Key to call up to 3 to 5 times a week, just to do just sort of a status check, just making sure that they're okay, they're not lonely, they're not having any distress or anything like that. And I think it's comforting for people.
Yeah. No, that's really great. And so, you know, you mentioned having an impact and like really hitting home for you guys. One of the things that's nice about doing this, this whole podcast series that I do, is I get to speak to a lot of organizations that benefit the community. So with that, I wanted to talk about the ARPA grant funding. And Silver Key was awarded $400,000 of that ARPA funding. It's a pretty substantial sum for a lot of people. Can you talk about what that money has gone to fund and how it has impacted the clients that you serve here?
Absolutely. So those funds were designated for us to support our health and wellness department. So we have numerous departments here at Silver Key, and I can talk about those other services at a later time. But if I'm just going to focus on our health and wellness team, basically they provide, I'll just kind of start at the beginning of how a senior's interaction with Silver Key might happen. So one of the first things that would potentially happen is a senior might call our Silver line. And just for your reference, that number is 719-884-2300. So if a senior has a question or has a need and they don't know where to go, they can start by calling the Silver line. And then once that call's been made, one of our folks that answers the Silver line will help navigate them to where they need to go. If they're calling for transportation, they need a ride somewhere, then they will get moved. Their call will be moved over to the transportation department. If they're calling because they're concerned that they're not going to have enough money for food, then they might get dispatched over to Meals on Wheels or our pantry. So those different areas. So the part of the funding is really helping us keep this Silver line running and having our staff and our volunteers trained to be able to answer whatever those phone calls might be when they come in. I mentioned earlier that sometimes, people will call us when they're in a crisis, and our staff and our volunteers that answer those phone calls need to be a reassurance on the other end that they can be helpful and get them where they need to go. So it's really important that that training happens. And then from there, if a senior has multiple needs, they're concerned that they're going to be evicted, they don't have food, they've lost their job, or their funding or whatever, then they might be connected with a resource navigator. And that's where they would have a meeting one-on-one where they would really talk through all of the things that are happening in their situation, because they may not just need to be dispatched to transportation. They really need to talk about their life situation.
Right.
So that's also part of our health and wellness program. We have case managers and care coordination. Sometimes there's some behavioral health needs, and we have staffing to address that. One of the programs that we're really proud of in our health and wellness space is our companionship program. And that is a program where we match a senior with a companion, and a relationship is formed. And our companions go and visit our seniors, and they can decide what the cadence of those visits are. But it's basically, knowing that a friend, a companion is going to come, stop in, sit with them for an hour. They might do crossword puzzles. They might decide to go to the store and do some grocery shopping, maybe even some light, housework, whatever they enjoy doing together. Mm-hmm. And it's just an opportunity for our seniors to just know that they have someone that they can depend on that's going to come by and check on them. One of the big concerns that we have for our senior population, especially in El Paso County, is isolation and loneliness. And we have staggering statistics around senior suicide, unfortunately. And we know that threads back to that loneliness and that isolation. And so these services, yes, our companions might bring them a warm meal, which is fantastic, mm-hmm. but they're also bringing them that socialization that is just so critical.
Yeah. So you mentioned a lot there that I found actually pretty interesting. I want to go back to a couple of those different things. First of all, is that Silver Line. Is that a 24/7 service, or does it have specific hours?
So the Silver Line is available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We do have a answering service over the weekend, so people can leave a message. Okay. And then when the staffing comes in on Monday morning, they can get back to any of those calls that were missed over the weekend. And of course, there's always a message on there that if it's an emergency, some instructions on what they should do.
Very good. And then the companionship program that you mentioned, is that something where you need to have like a specific type of training, or do you have like volunteers come in that serve that program? How does that program work exactly?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes. So it is a volunteer program. And yes, there's training, background checks, all of the things that you would want to be assured happen when someone is coming in to care for someone in your family. One of the beautiful things, though, that we do is we make an effort to do a good match. Mm-hmm. So we get a senior who's looking for a companion. We have our volunteer companions, and we know about both, and we kind of make that connection so that relationship could be as strong as possible. Yeah. In fact, we have a lot of veteran-to-veteran matchings and pairings. Yeah. And so as you can imagine, when there's those things in common, then it just makes for a better relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really interesting. So how has working with other organizations in the area benefited the programs that you guys are working on specifically?
We have some outstanding partnerships here in the community. For example, Care and Share Food Bank provides us with boxed meals that we can give to our pantry clients. We have about 1,100 clients who come through our pantry every month. And so they are eligible for one of those Care and Share food boxes. And then in addition to that, they can grab the pantry items that Silver Key has. Mm-hmm. And we also have partnerships with organizations like NAMI. So if we have any of our seniors who are needing some assistance with the mental health space, then we've got some great partners there. So although, we pride ourselves, Silver Key, on being able to provide a lot for our seniors, we can do so much more for seniors with these partnerships that we have. Mm-hmm. We can provide more food, for example, because of the supplies that we get from care and share, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and that partnership with NAMI is really great because they're literally right next door.
Yes, yep.
Really
We have some great partners here on this campus.
That's awesome. So I was wondering if you would be able to share a personal story to help demonstrate that work that Silver Key does.
Absolutely. So, there's been several, but one that comes to mind is a 73-year-old veteran. His name's Craig, and he sought assistance from Silver Key to find some affordable housing. And he was facing some challenges, limited income. He was at risk of homelessness and didn't require assisted living. So a community partner connected him with Silver Key, and through their partnership with Next Chapter, Craig was linked to a resource navigator at Silver Key who assisted him in applying for the Tenant-Based Rent Assistance Program, TBRA. So with this support, Craig was able to secure affordable independent housing, subsidized for up to 2 years. And this stability allowed him to focus on self-improvement. He's a participant in our companionship program that I mentioned to you.
Yeah.
And he's also taking some computer classes here at Silver Key. That's a new program. There's a digital equity. There was a digital equity grant that Silver Key received recently, and we were able to set up a computer lab, and we're offering workshops and classes and even open hours for seniors to come in if they need to get on and apply for housing or whatever they need to do if they need access to the internet. And so Craig's been taking some of those classes, and really we feel like his success has been attributed to the wraparound care model that we're so proud of. Is you may come in for one thing. I mean, he reached out to us because he was concerned about affordable housing, and so we were able to help him with that and yet so much more. Does he need access to the pantry? Did he want to learn some things in the computer class? So we like to think that once you get in contact with Silver Key, that there might be numerous ways that we can help.
Yeah, and can you talk about that wraparound model a little bit? I feel like it's language that kind of gets thrown out a couple of times, and probably because it's pretty easy to understand. You wrap people around with all the services they need. But can you talk about specifically how it's done here at Silver Key and why that approach for your organization is so important to the work?
Yeah, so when we say wraparound services, what we really mean is that we try not to just solve for one situation, that really for someone to feel independent and like they're living their best life, that we want to make sure that anything that could be not quite right for them is addressed. So it might start with them needing transportation. They can't drive anymore, and they want that independence to be able to go to the grocery store. So they could get our assistance with rides. And then sometimes what happens is in that interaction with us, we learn that they're struggling. Maybe we're taking them to the grocery store, but they really can't afford to go to the grocery store. So then maybe they're exposed to our food pantry. We also have cafes around El Paso County. They're called the Connection Cafes. We have 13 of them. Okay. And that's another place where they can go get a meal and find that socialization and networking with other seniors. So maybe no one's ever heard that we have these cafes, but they heard it when they were getting a ride somewhere, and all of those things. So whatever it is that they might need, the wraparound, yes, is like a big hug. Like, what else can we do to make you more comfortable and happy? One other program that we offer is home modifications, and so most seniors would prefer to stay in their home than go into an assisted living situation. And so it's our goal to help them stay in place, age in place, as long as they can, as long as they're safe. And so what that means is that sometimes we're asked to put grab bars up, or maybe wheelchair ramps need to be installed. And so we have some great volunteers that help us with that. We've done some work with Habitat for Humanity where we go in and do those things. And to your point earlier, when you bring two organizations together, they may have the volunteers, we may have the tools, and we come together and we do this great work.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. So you've mentioned a number of programs, and honestly, I'm impressed with the number of programs that Silver Key offers. But are there any other programs that you offer that we may not have mentioned yet that you think would be important for the listeners to know about?
I feel like I've covered pretty much everything. The one part, though, that I would like to mention a little bit more is the Senior Center and Monument. That is in the old Grace Best Elementary School, and they have all sorts of activities for seniors. They have classes, workshops, and fitness programs. So fitness classes, if you want to line dance, if you want to do yoga, and then they have sort of a rec area where they get together on Fridays and play mahjong. They play cards, they play spades. There's puzzles. There's just all sorts of things to do. And that also happens to be one of our cafe sites.
Okay.
So they can go in for a meal. They can take a class. I think they had an astronomy class last week that everybody really enjoyed. So just lots of things to do. The location, so that's in Monument. Our building, our main campus is on 1625 South Murray, and that is where we have the computer lab, for example, that I mentioned. And we are looking to expand some of the socialization services that we want to have in this location. And we're really modeling it after what's been so successful up in Monument. And that's wrapping around to how we started our conversation. That's why Silver Key needed Tri-Lake Silver Alliance and vice versa, is they really have a good model for having well-attended fitness classes up there, and we want to be able to do something similar like that down here.
That's awesome. I will say, though, I'm a pretty mean spades player myself. I gotta say, so at least I know where to find a good game if I'm ever looking for one.
Yes. And in fact, the ladies there a couple weeks ago taught me how to play mahjong.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
I've always wanted to know how to play. I kind of knew how to play, but then after playing with them, I learned I really don't know how to play.
Right.
But they were just so sweet, and I think they appreciated me coming in and showing interest. And it's just a fun group, and they always have fun things going on up there.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you mentioned the Silver Line earlier. If people do want to get in touch with you, if people are interested in receiving services from Silver Key, how do they go about doing that?
So you can always visit our website, and that's silverkey.org, or you can call the Silver Line at 719-884-2300. And please know, if you are a senior and you're looking for some type of support, even if it's not something that Silver Key may do, we are a resource for you, and we will help get you connected with someone that can help. And also for families, if you're just not sure how to navigate something for a loved one that is a senior, you can also feel free to call us. And we are always looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
So if anything that I shared today sounds of interest to you, we desperately need more drivers.
Okay.
So we get so many calls a day for transportation, and we do our best, but we have to prioritize medical needs first. And so typically those appointments, but we want to be able to take a senior to the grocery store or to the craft fair or wherever they want to go. And so if we had more drivers, we also need more drivers for Meals on Wheels to get those meals out. But anything that I shared, the computer lab, if you just like dinking around in a computer lab and you want to come help, show how to do something on the computer, we could benefit from that as well. One thing, though, that I really think is amazing about Silver Key is that we have more than 400 volunteers.
Oh, wow.
There is no way that we could do the amount of work that we do if we didn't have our volunteers. They keep this place moving, and they're loyal, they're dedicated. I was just looking at a list last night, and we have 17 volunteers who've been here for more than 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And we have, I think it's 5 that have been here more than 20 or something like that. And you just don't see volunteers to an organization that are that loyal. And
Right.
so I just think that's something to be really proud of.
No, that's incredible. And I think that speaks to, when people want to volunteer, first of all, they are incredible people in the first place, but, they want to make sure that the volunteer work they're doing is, it really means something. It's valuable. They're spending their time to, help others. And to know that Silver Key is an organization where people clearly feel that if there have been volunteers that have been around for more than 20 years, I mean, clearly this is a place where your volunteer work will be appreciated and it'll be put to good use. So no, that's really great. So before we end the conversation, I just want to give you an opportunity to add anything else that you think would be important for our listeners to know.
The only other thing that I don't think I mentioned is that we do have 2 thrift stores. And so, it's nice for seniors to be able to come and find a place to shop, but it's also a place for anyone to donate. And of course, our thrift stores are open to anyone. Anyone can come into our thrift stores. We have one in Monument, and then we have our other one here on the Murray campus. So if you ever want to come by campus and check us out, you would be able to see and could stop by and visit our thrift store. And our thrift store on the Murray campus also provides durable medical equipment. And so that's important to know because sometimes you just don't know, maybe you're discharged from the hospital and you're told that you need this equipment and you don't know where to go.
Right.
And so you could call the Silver Line and they could get you connected with the thrift store and we could see if we have whatever that is that you need, or you can stop by and we have a whole big section of items that they could choose from.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jamie. I really appreciate you taking the time today to walk me through all that Silver Key does and the work they do here in El Paso County. So thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
If you're interested in listening to additional episodes of Beyond the Dais, be sure to look for us on Podbean or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.